What up, Razzballers? Week 4 is upon us. Happy Sunday morning. We got a try box for now. We got more coming in. Razzball Fantasy Football Show going live right now with your start sit questions. Get them in, get them ready to go. Trade questions, injury questions, weather report, kicker of the week. We got it all for you right now on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What up, everybody? Good morning, and welcome back to the Razzball Fantasy Football headquarters. I am your host for the morning, finally able to come back onto a Sunday live. My name is Sky Guasco. You can find me on the Xbox at Sky Guasco, SKYGUASCO. Jeff also up in the top box with me as well. That's Jefferson _ Deuce Uno, and B Don making an appearance as well. That's Raz B Don. We got 3 of us for now. We got some more coming in for the rest of the morning. We got questions already rolling in. Week 4 upon us, week 3 behind us. Let's have an injury-free week, gentlemen. Let's throw out some blessings. Injury-free week. Let's make it happen. Last week wasn't so bad. The first 2 weeks, absolutely brutal, as we know. Before we get going, of course, we want to give a quick shout-out to the entire situation here at Razzball. Many of you are either wrapping up your baseball championships. Hopefully you locked it down if you haven't already. Those are wrapping up right now if they're not done, so best of luck to you there. I know some of our writers have already cleared up the Raz Baseball Championship, so congratulations to you there. We're in week 4 of the fantasy football season. You can find everything Razzball related on Xbox. Razzball NFL for football specific. Of course, you can find us on the YouTube channel every night of the week. We got episodes for you. We got podcasts, repurposing also. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment on each episode, and then repurposed on the audio side as well, the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast Show, anywhere you listen to your audio. And, of course, all of our writing, all of our great writers, all of our unique tools, all of the specialty items available for you for free, for the most part, at football.razzball.com. At the top of the hour, the boss is not in for us today, so we don't have an injury report. We'll get you those start sits and in and outs best we can as they come live. But instead, B-Don's going to give a breakdown of what is also available on the website. So as you get through the first month of the season, you know what tools are available to you from us to you on football.razzball.com. All right, gentlemen, lengthy intro. Good morning. B-Don, we'll start with you. One thing you're looking forward to in week 4, one player that needs to go off, one player you're playing against that you hope doesn't, one matchup in NFL terms you're looking for. Good morning, my man. Stoked to have you on the program.
Hey, happy to be on here. I think I've had like a couple of just drop-ins randomly, but it's the first time I think I'm going to sit through the whole show. So happy to be in here. As bad as it's gonna hurt me to say as a Bears fan, I think the person I need to see today look good, and it's not because I don't think he's a good player. I think it's it'll be self-evident. It's Jordan Love. Little banged up. It's questionable all week. He's gonna play. I don't know how much of this is trying to make sure that he doesn't lose any he's got the contract, so he's not going anywhere, but I don't really understand why he pushed back. So seems like he's healthy. See what he can do against Minnesota in that matchup. Just selfishly, I would love to see the Bears offense as a whole get going because they're just awful. I guess a trap game or something that I think that might not come out quite as we're hoping is maybe Baltimore Buffalo. Every time we get these high scoring games, they end up being heavy under games. So I know the over unders set at like 47 or 46.5. I would be taking the under there. Just again, every time 2 high powered offenses get together, the defenses seem really ready to go. And these are 2 good defenses to go along with it. I don't remember what other questions you asked me, but we can cover it along the next hour and a half, 2 hours or so.
That's perfect. We do have 2 hours of content coming up here, an hour and 45 minutes or so, right up to kickoff here anywhere you're listening from. So shouts out to our 5 a.m. Hawaii family tuning in as well. Jeff, good morning. And
Morning.
Same questions to you, man. Players you're looking forward to going off, or players you're playing against that you need to stay subtle, or just a matchup in football terms that you're looking forward to playing?
The matchup is the highest points total from Vegas. It's Commanders and Cardinals. Going up against Connor.
How wild is that?
That's
like, think about that a month ago, that like that game is the one that you're like, man, fireworks, can't wait.
No, absolutely. I'm going up against Connor, and I have McBride out in one of my leagues. So And I have Jaden Daniels in that league too. So it's going to be an interesting game. I'll be watching closely. The other game that I will be monitoring closely, I'm kind of curious to see. I know it's an ugly game, but it's the Browns and Raiders. Our boy Devontae is out. So I'm curious to see if does that mean Brock Bowers steps up? Does Jacoby Myers step up? And who's going to take passes from Gardner? I think he's still starting this week. But so I'm curious about those two games heading into week 4.
Love it. I'm excited for Detroit and Seattle. Seattle undefeated, Detroit playing very well. Also, game in Detroit, so it's indoors. We already have a kicker question, so not to jump the gun, but I love both those kickers in that game, and they do matter for those of you that play in kicker leagues. You got to play them, so don't throw too much shade. Players I'm looking forward to. I love that Beaton brought up Jordan Love, because that Packers offense, Malik Willis has actually done better, and I think we thought he was going to collectively, but seeing that go on. And Josh Jacobs is 4 receptions away, folks, from the most receptions without a touchdown in NFL history. Love to see that. One of those stats that you're just kind of like, how is that possible? So for our fellow Razballer, Matty Styles, we're pouring one out for Josh Jacobs and hoping that we can get him in the end zone one way or another. We talked about the Ravens and Bills game coming up later. Obviously, we have James Cook and Derrick Henry in that game, both top 12 running backs this week. So it could be a slug out fest. So I don't expect a lot of fireworks in that one, but should be a great NFL game, hopefully. All right, everybody, good morning. We got Jeff Marks tuning in here. We got Epic Fail always in the place too. William Jones tuning in as well. For those of you also tuning in right now, feel free to drop in your start-sit questions for week 4. Just a reminder to anybody coming in new or slipping in the brain early in the morning here, please make sure to list if it's PPR, tight end premium, super flex, full PPR, any weird settings we need to know, 5 wide receiver league, something crazy. So it gives us a heads up as to how your settings are so we can give you the best possible opportunity. Let's get to our first question here. It is from Jeff Marks. Good morning, Jeff. Pick 3 full PPR. Well done. Set the scene there. Thank you for that. 3 full PPR players. Beat on. We're going to start with you, and then we'll go to Jeff. 3 PPR players. We got Shakir, Deontay Johnson, Carson Steele, Calvin's Ridley, Terry McLaurin, and Rashid Shaheed. Beat on. We need 3 in full PPR. Who you got?
So I do want to address something real quick. Is there a reason that Calvin adjusts to Calvin's for no reason at all? Because this does this for me too, and it's always bothered me. It doesn't like. Is there a brand that I'm not aware of that's Calvin's? Because
there's Calvin Klein, not a sponsor, but there's Calvin Klein, but that's still singular, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. So I want to say Jeff isn't the only one that has this issue with Calvin. But to answer his question, I think I'm going Rashid Shaheed. He was still like a drop away from having another big catch last week, which, you are counting on one play, but that one play is potentially, 13, 14 points by itself or more. Depending on your bonuses and things, if you have those. I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin. He's still the best receiver out of this group talent-wise, and we saw that he got involved last week. So I'm looking for that just to continue as Jaden kind of settles in, realizes Terry is the guy he should be looking to. And then it's kind of up in the air from there, but I think I'm going to go with Shakir. I know I just said that seems like a defensive game, but in a full PPR, I feel like Shakir is going to get involved. He's going to get receptions and targets. Deontay Johnson was the other one I was playing with, but every time we trust Andy Dalton and see him come back and perform well, he comes back and drops a hard dud on us. And I just, I'm really worried that's going to happen. He has some added motivation going back to Cincinnati or playing Cincinnati, but I don't know if that's enough to carry Carolina, which is still a bad team. I know we want to say it's not after last week or say it's not as bad as we thought, but it's still an awful roster. So I'm going to go with Shakir over Deontay, but that would be the 2 left standing for me.
Okay, so to be clear here, you have Shakir, McLaurin, and Shaheed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, Jeff, who you got?
No, I love that. I definitely have Shakir in this one. He's caught 2 touchdowns in 3 weeks with Josh Allen. That's going to probably continue this week. The next one is for sure Terry McLaurin. Like you said, that chemistry is growing with Jaden, and you feel like he's getting more familiar with the NFL, making good reads, only getting better week in, week out. So definitely McLaurin. And then Shaheed, I know we talked about him, Sky earlier this week. And yeah, he was a play away. It's indoors again, so he's indoors, so he'll be able to hit it deep. I do know in this matchup, though, the Falcons do give up more like quick routes than the deep ball, playing a zone. So maybe if they get him on a play action with Bijan, he can hit it big for them. So I like those three. I do like Deontay moving forward, but for this week, the Bengals are actually a top 10 defense against receivers. So makes me kind of worry with Adam Thielen not playing alongside him. So they're going to probably be focusing, a shadow coverage over Deontay this week.
Yeah, I want to pick Deontay too after last week's reemergence with Andy Dalton, but both you guys bring up good points. Like Andy Dalton's fun last week, but what are we going to get back-to-back weeks? Revenge game, I get all that stuff, but like what are we going to get twice? Also, Deontay is expected to play, but he's questionable technically as of right now. And Jeff, you and I did talk about our starts of the week earlier in the week on the program, and Rashid Shaheed was my trade for candidate. He actually was goosed last week, which of course we hate, but the first 2 weeks, big touchdowns. I see that coming back. Chris Olave is also questionable. He should also play most likely, but with him not being 100%, they could look to go Rashid Shaheed's way as well. So I'm actually going to make it a three-peat, boys. Right off the bat, we're going to agree on all three, which is rare. So we're going to go Shakir, Terry McLaurin, and Rashid Shaheed. But I will say, if you have like some wiggle room or somebody gets weird at kickoff, I think we're all okay with Deontay Johnson as well, but he's going to be our fourth option there. Let's move on to Epic Fail. Good morning, Epic Fail. Always on here. Very reliable contributor to the program all the time. So good morning to you, good sir. PPR pick 2, Shaheed, Myers, Hubbard, T. Higgins, and Jennings. Debo also questionable, but my local boots on the ground here in San Francisco let me know that he also most likely will be back this week. Shaheed, Myers, Hubbard, T, and Jennings, 2 in PPR. Be done.
Yeah, this one's tough. I think, wow. This one could go any number of ways. It's tough to really go all in on again, the Carolina game. So that makes it hard for Hubbard, even though he is the RB1 there. I'm going to go with Shaheed. I'm going to just stay with that one. And I'm actually going to go with Myers on this one. No Devontae, somebody has to catch balls there. And, we've seen that's kind of when Jacoby Myers steps up and is, a productive player, is when he's kind of forced to step into the spotlight. He's fine as a wide receiver too, and he does that role, but he just doesn't get the looks in that spot. It could be Bowers, it could be any number of people, but Myers feels like the play here. Higgins has struggled all season, and on top of that, he was a little banged up this week. If the game gets out of hand, he could be, he could take some time just to make sure he doesn't re-injure anything. So there's potential that he's not in for all of the snaps. Otherwise, he would probably be my pick, similar to Terry, where he's just the most talented of this group. So I feel like that's generally my go-to, is who's the most talented. But given all of the factors against T right now, I think even in what appears to be a really nice matchup, I'm worried about the snaps. I'm worried that if the game gets out of hand, that could go to a point where he's not going to be used. And kind of the same point with Hubbard. If they get behind, yeah, he's going to get some PPR but he's not going to get what you're wanting out of him.
All right. So who you got for your 2 to clear it up?
Shaheed and Myers.
Jeff, how about you?
Yeah, Shaheed for sure. I was leaning Chuba Hubbard. He does have 9 grabs in the past 2 games, which is nice for PPR from a running back. But I think I'm going against Myers, which sucks to say this though. But yeah, I do like Myers to be the pass catcher for the Raiders this week.
Yeah, likewise, gentlemen. The unthinkable here. We're going to go back-to-back full agreeance, which I promise folks does not happen on the program very often. But Shaheed and Myers are mine as well. Jennings has been a lot of fun. Look, as a Niner fan, it's awesome to root for this dude since he came out and finally get the opportunity with Debo out, Kittle out, Ayuk not making his money yet. But I think Debo plays this week, and Niners have just blown 2 games they shouldn't have. So I think there's a locker room change going on. This is actually kind of a must win for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. So I think they come out in a big way this week. Jacoby Myers last week, wide receiver 9 in PPR, 7 receptions on 9 targets, just 62 yards, but he did score. We know Cleveland has a great secondary, but no Deontay. I think he's going to get peppered no matter what. So I expect at least 10 targets in there. You like that. And then we've talked about Shaheed all week long. So I'm going to go with the sure things here, Shaheed and Myers as well. Next up for Epic Fail, I'm going to pop in for the boss on this one. He usually has our kicker of the week. So shout out to our boy Bob. I had mentioned it earlier. I'm actually going to take 2 kickers in the same game, and then I'll give you an alternate. I'm going to go with Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks. And we're also, where is he? Jake Bates. Not a name that we talk about very much, but the Lions kicker should be a high-scoring affair on that game. It's actually Monday night. If you can't wait till Monday night, then I'm going to give a shout-out to our boy Younghoe Koo as well for the Atlanta Falcons, who's playing well. And then Chris Boswell for the Steelers is always pretty solid too. So if you have any of those guys floating around your waiver wire, feel free to check those out. Next up, half PPR, different league for Epic Fail. Pick 2, we got Akers versus Akers, JSN, ETN. Also in PPR, Akers, Moss, Akers versus Hubbard. So let's break this down here. Let's go first with the half PPR league. Epic Fail's got a number of leagues, of course. Let's go on the first side here, Don, then we'll get Jeff, and then we'll go to the next league. Half PPR, Akers, JSN, ETN. You need 2 of those.
I'm still waiting to hear Mixon if he's playing in this week. It seems like he's not. They haven't. I don't think he's officially out, but I'm just going to assume he's sitting for the purposes of this question. In which case, I'm going to go with Akers and so help me God, ETN. I know it has not been a good start to the year, and actually, as a longtime ETN non-believer, it's kind of it's like I told you he's not that good, but he's still getting the work. If there's rushing touchdowns to be had, he's going to get them. He's still being used in the passing game. He's not been he's not been DeAndre Swift bad. So we're not looking at that level of hope and prayer. So I'm going to go with ETN. He's still solid for, a play. And, as much as I love JSN, it still feels like that offense is what it always is, which is just spread the ball around, and whoever happens to be open is going to get, the receptions. It was him against New England, but it hasn't been him against anybody else. So it's just kind of he's still a little bit too inconsistent for me to trust week to week without buys being in play.
Okay, Jeff, who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go JSN and ETN on the first one. Detroit surprisingly allows top 10 points to receivers, so like JSN in that matchup, that could be a high scoring one actually. I like ETN as well as a Jags fan. He does play well in Houston, and they have to bounce back, and they're going to have to rely on running the ball. So like ETN to bounce back this week. For his next question, I'm just going to stay away from Akers. He burned too many times, so I like Moss on that one, and then also Juba, over Akers.
Got it. Jumping the gun, professional. Well done. Pick 2. I'm going to go JSN and ETN as well. Don, I hear you. 16 targets, folks. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back. 16 targets in week 2 for JSN against New England, 117 yards and 12 receptions. Outside of that, he has 5 targets, 5 receptions total in the other 2 games. We have a no, big. I think we do. There's going to be a lot of fireworks on Monday Night Football for Detroit and Seattle. It's my game of the week. So I'm going to go with JSN for that one. And then I think ETN as well in half PPR. It does look like Mixon will be out, so Akers should get plenty of work, but I like him there. I actually like Akers over Moss and over Hubbard, though. So on the other one, and Don, I know Jeff broke the rules, so then I broke the rules. That's how sheep work. So we're going to go back to you for the second here. But for me, I'm going to go JSN and ETN for the first one. Don, we'll go back up to you. Do you have Akers, Moss, Akers, Hubbard?
Yeah, I don't mind the JSN call. I mean, as far as upside goes, I he is the top of the list. I mean, we saw what he did. So much talent. And the other 2, I'm going to go Moss. I think they end up running the ball again. It's trying to predict game script, which is not always the best way to do things, but that's what I'm going to do in that one. And then I'm going to go Akers over Hubbard. I just don't know what that looks like. If it was, I don't know. That one's a lot closer for me. I'm going to say Akers, but I could be talked into going the other way. Jeff's stat about the receptions the last couple of weeks definitely helps Hubbard, and Dalton is somebody who will dump it off. He's not a hold the ball hero type of quarterback any longer. He doesn't have the foot speed to do that. So I could actually, I think I'm talking myself into Hubbard on that one slowly. So I guess I'm going Moss and Hubbard over Akers.
Man, to your point, Beat-On, can we just give a quick reminiscent shout out to like the 3 years of vintage Gio Bernard with Andy Dalton, just 14 targets a game, dude.
Just dropping him the ball every time he's on the field. I mean, we talk about like running backs where they're running the ball. If Gio was on the field, you knew they were throwing the ball because he wasn't running in between the tackles.
Man, those Bengals years were awesome. We had Tyler Eifert for a couple years when he was actually healthy. AJ Green, of course, fantasy legend, and Gio Bernard. Bless up to those guys along OG here. Cruiser 24 chiming in here. It's all right, Jeff. I jumped the gun here. Mixon is out. It's official. So I appreciate that. We'll go back to William Jones, who we got here.
Breaking news real fast. AJ Brown is out.
AJ Brown is also out. Nice.
And Devontae is out.
Yep, cool. So 2 of your top 10 wide receivers out once again. And Debo, we will see what happens in the next couple of minutes. Once again, here you are joining us on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We got Beat-On, Jeff, and myself, Sky, on a tri-box. We might have more popping in with us this morning as well. You can follow everything on Razzball NFL on X. You can also find us on the YouTube channel and the podcast as well, anywhere you listen to your audio or see your videos. And, of course, all of our great tools that Beat-On's going to break down in about a half hour for us on football.razzball.com with all of our excellent writers and content there on the website. William Jones, good morning and welcome back. William Jones, morning. PPR need wide receiver and a flex. Ridley, Shaheed. Shaheed's been in every question, 99% of our questions. Calvin's Ridley, back for another one. Rashid Shaheed, Ramondre Stevenson, McConkey, and Dodson with a little rocket and a moon. Love that. So we need a PPR here, wide receiver and a flex. So we need 2 guys, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Beat-On.
Ooh, okay. So 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. I mean, I think the wide receiver part's kind of irrelevant. You're going to get a receiver out of this group one way or the other. I guess I'm just going to start eliminating guys in my mind, and we'll end up somewhere. Lad's been. I think Lad's going to be just fine, but for now, he's out. I've already said I like Shaheed more than Ridley, so that one. We'll go with Shaheed as 1. I think as the questions keep coming and Shaheed keeps being in them, we're either going to be really right or really wrong this week on starting him, which leaves me really kind of Ridley, Ramondre, Dotson. I'm going to go Dotson. I think Goddard's going to get like the Travis Kelce treatment. He's going to get 2 or 3 defenders on him. With AJB out, with Devontae, not out as well. So I just feel like after last week, Goddard will be the focus for the defense. Dotson should have a couple of opportunities to get deep one-on-one coverage, and this might be a game where Philly has to take more shots than they normally would downfield because they can't just lean on all their skill players around him. I think Saquon's going to get plenty of work, but with that, maybe a little play action, maybe a little rollout with Dotson getting deep. So I'm going to go Shaheed, Dotson for a deep ball here and kind of the high upside play.
Jeff?
Yeah, Shaheed for sure. McConkey, I do like, but with Justin Herbert being questionable with the ankle injury, he's 1 tackle away from being out, and then McConkey's a no factor. So that's concerning there for me. Ramondre, I said week 1, week 2-ish, sell high. We saw with versus the Jets when they get down, he just doesn't. The volume won't be there. I worry with the Niners. They're going to get ahead early and fast, and Ramondre will be a no factor in that one. Dotson's the most intriguing one to me with A.J. Brown and Devontae being out. Ridley is the name of the bunch, but Miami's top 10 against wide receivers so far this year. So with Will Levis, who knows what'll happen there. But to answer the question, we'll go Shaheed and Dotson.
Shaheed and Dotson as well. Dotson just, let's see, 5 targets on the year, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 8 yards last week in a single fantasy point. However, again, he is the de facto number 1 outside of Goddard. And with Goddard having such a big run last week and a big play, I think they're going to hyper focus on him. So I agree. Philadelphia is one of our bye week teams. Jeff, can you pull those up after the next question to remind everybody what our bye weeks look like, folks? We do not have any for the first 4 weeks. But starting next week, we have bye weeks. Goes without saying that you need to be careful with your lineups there. But we also have a lot of injuries. So it's going to be a big waiver week hitting our first bye week, and also these injuries piling up for us. But Jahan Dotson for me is a good opportunity there, being the number 1 wide receiver. And then Rashid Shaheed. Bidon's absolutely right. We're either going to strike gold or probably not have a program next week, depending on how that goes. So let's hope for the best. All right, we'll move on here to GR. Morning, fellas. As always, appreciate the breakdowns. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming back to the program. It's always good to have you. Good to see Bidon. Bidon with a shout. We get the golf clap for the personal shout-outs. Well done. Half PPR, Ertz versus Gesicki. Our peer dart throw Higgins. Fairly even matchup with my opponent this week on paper. Bidon, big fan here. Let's help him out. We got a rough tight end question here. We got the OG Ertz with Gesicki coming up with some nice games as of late, or do we go with the dart throw Higgins? What you got?
Yeah, so I mean, if they've been listening to me for any time, they know that I've always had a man crush on Mike Gesicki. I feel like he's always been used in just the worst possible way for the type of player he is. And I think this year we're starting to see what it looks like when he is used in the proper manner. That being said, he's still only playing about 50% of snaps because he can't block, which limits the amount of upside that he has. I'm going to go with Ertz inside the dome in Arizona. As Jeff mentioned earlier, it is the high over-under of the week, and I think it's going to be Terry and then Ertz, kind of covering the under part of the game. So I'm going to go with Ertz in that one, but it is close. I have him very close this week.
Jeff?
Yeah, no, it's close for me too. Gesicki, he's done well the past few weeks. Those are also based on matchups. Why he did so well, one when T was out and earlier in the year. So I do like Ertz though in this matchup.
Mike Gesicki has been getting targeted, and honestly, at the tight end position, folks, that's all we can ask for, because guys like Mark Andrews are not getting targeted. So anybody getting opportunity will take here. I'm actually going to go Mike Gesicki. I like the matchup a bit better versus Carolina. I think they're going to score plenty of points. And also, I think just at this point, Ertz is more of a Jason Witten type guy at this point, like 10-yard curl, catch it and fall down. Gesicki, I think, could actually break a play or two athletically. So I'm going to go with Mike Gesicki. We do have Dave Cruz in the background. Cruiser, we're going to get you in here in just a minute. Let's answer one more question from Zayon, and then we're going to get Dave Cruz on as well. Pick 2 to start PPR, and the third if you think any of them get over Kenneth Walker in the flex spot. We got Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Shakir, Jameson Williams, and Jacoby Myers with Devontae Adams out. So we got a handful of studs here, but a lot of like boom or bust players right now to start the fantasy season. Beat on who you got. And per usual, Zan, I believe you've been here most of the time, so busted on you, brother. Please make sure to always let us know what format you have. When we do not know your format, we just go de facto half PPR. So without knowing, he said PPR. I'm sorry. You got it. I'll catch myself there. PPR. All right. So PPR, you got all those names there. Ayuk, Wilson, Higgins, Shakir, J-Mo, and Myers. Who you got, B-Don?
All right. First with GR, I meant to also mention that Ertz is also getting a little mini revenge game. I know he was only there for a short period of time, but he does get a little mini revenge game in Arizona. So maybe an extra red zone look for him as well. For this question here from Zane, I'm going to go with Jameson Williams and Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is, he's so talented and just he's going to get targets. He can break one. He has number of ways to get you points in this one. And then Jameson Williams, a little, definitely a letdown last week, but I feel like Seattle's so good against the one, they're going to kind of blanket Amon-Ra. So I think Jameson is going to have to step up his game if Detroit's going to, move this ball consistently and kind of remove double coverage from Amon-Ra. They have to get Jameson involved.
Jeff?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Obviously, I want to go with Garrett Wilson, but it's not the greatest matchup against Denver, which is concerning. Ayuk, I don't know what Ayuk we're going to see this week. T, I'm not leaning T. I feel like I like Shakir in this one still. I don't think the Baltimore D is good, but they're not that good anymore. I think they're just namesake. We just think the Ravens are great on defense. Dak shredded them last week. They were down. So I like Shakir in this one. And to what Vidon said, I like JMO. I don't know how healthy Laporta is and how much he will be involved. JMO, his numbers peak up when Laporta peaks down. So I think they're going to it's going to be a high-scoring affair. So I like Shakir and JMO. I like Kenneth Walker coming back. He doesn't have an injury designation, which is nice, even though he was questionable all week. So I think he got to roll with the big guy Walker.
All right, I'm going to mix this all up here. Try not to make it a homer call. I'm just really hoping that Ayuk catches balls. Last week, Brock Purdy made an incredible play. He had him wide open in the end zone. He dropped the pass. He had another couple. And Ayuk, I think, has just been distracted from his off-season stuff. Then Debo's out and Kittle's out, and it's just been weird. I think they make it happen versus New England today. So I'm going to go with Ayuk. And then I'm going to kind of just stick with the dart throw here. I really think that Jacoby Myers is going to get peppered. And he seems like one of those dudes that's going to fly under the radar and stay on people's benches or be a deep flex. And I think that he's going to get the work and opportunity. So I'm going to go a little left field here and go with Ayuk and Jacoby Myers. Before we get into our next question, we want to welcome in Dave Cruz, Cruiser128 on X. Dave, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Apparently, I was trying to get into a show that aired on Friday. So that didn't work out too well. So I finally got the link to this show. So here I am. Hope everything's going good, guys. Good to see you. Big
You as
fans
well.
of your work. And let's answer some questions.
Right on. Likewise. No worries, man. You're right on time. Dave Cruz, ladies and gentlemen, is one of our newest writers here at Razzball. So, of course, you can catch his content and everybody else's at football.razzball.com. Jeff, let's move on. We got a couple more here. Once again, folks, in about 20 minutes, maybe 19 for those math majors out there, B-Don's going to take the stage for about 3 or 4 minutes and let everybody know what's available on Razzball for all of our free tools, but also those executive tools that you can buy into as well. Also, a quick shout out here. We do have a super chat function here on YouTube. So if you got to get going throughout your morning, we get it. Most of us are parents. We totally understand how Sunday mornings go before kickoff. You got a lot to get done. If you do need to jump the line, you're welcome to contribute $1, $50, $300, whatever it is. Pay for my kids' tuition, whatever works for you. And we will jump the line there. Any contribution is much appreciated here on the program. You do not have to do that, but otherwise we go in order of these questions. So if you need to jump the line, feel free to just make a contribution. We'll bring you right up to the top. Billiam Jones back up. Jeff, who is this?
Who? Will Jones?
William Jones. Correct. Full PPR. We have Gus Bust. Ugh. As my running back two, help me. Who do I pick up? We have Hill, Sanders, Herbert, Chandler. Yikes. We're going to go beat on Jeff, Dave, myself. Beat on, go ahead.
Do I have to?
You do have
to. I'm gonna go with Herbert on this one. The Bears offense has not gotten going. I know they brought in DeAndre Swift, but as of the point of this time in the season, DeAndre has not gotten going. I think each week they're going more and more split running back, and if one of these guys gets going, I feel like they're just going to keep rolling with them. I still believe DeAndre Swift is the most talented running back in this backfield, but after him is Khalil Herbert. So I'm just looking at this as who's talented enough to take the job and actually maintain that work moving forward. Obviously any running back could get injured and then all of a sudden the next guy becomes more important, but I'm going to go Khalil Herbert.
Jeff.
I'm gonna go Ty Chandler. Even though he is backing up, Aaron Jones, he still gets like 8, 9 touches a game. So even as a backup, he still gets decent touches out of all these ones.
Dave, who you got?
Out of this group, I'm assuming that's Justice Hill. I'm tempted to go with Miles Sanders, but I don't really trust that Carolina rushing attack, even though I do think they have a good matchup against Cincinnati. I like Chuba Hubbard better in that game. Khalil Herbert, all the talk I hear this week is about Roschon Johnson. So I'm probably going to stay away from Herbert. It kind of comes down to Chandler and Justice Hill. And I don't really like being disagreeable, but I think I'm going to go with Justice Hill here.
The folks want disagreeable. This is like this is like one of those debate shows, but like real content. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
don't worry about it. This is unscripted, disagreeable. No problem.
Cool. I can do that.
All right. I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to go Justice Hill here too. We saw week 1 that he really just took over, right? And obviously King Henry's King Henry, but Buffalo, I would imagine they're just going to sell out. Lamar's been playing fine, but Mark Andrews is literally a non-factor. Isaiah Likely was great in week 1, but he's been kind of hit or miss. Zay Flowers has been hit or miss. So this Baltimore attack is not really an attack. And I think instead of fireworks with these two explosive offenses, I think it's going to be more of a slugfest. And we know that on third downs and what have you, longer distance is going to be Justice Hill. So in a PPR, I'm actually going to go Justice Hill in this one to just spell Derrick Henry. And Henry could get plenty of work, but I think Justice Hill is going to be that guy. Quick shout out here before we get to long time Bill Dino. We have over 150 of you tuning in live right now on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, wherever you're tuning in. We appreciate it. It would be super awesome if you could take 2 seconds out of your day and give us a like or subscribe anywhere you have us on those channels. It helps boost the algorithm for us, helps boost us, and it also pays our bills. So we much appreciate it if you could just take 1 second there to give us a like and a follow, and also give us a comment below if you disagree with any of us. Again, we're unscripted, disagreeable, so feel free to do that. We might need to patent that term there, Dave. I like that a lot. All right, Bill Dino chiming in every single Sunday. Bill, good morning. Olave, hammy on Friday. It looks, I believe he's still questionable, but I think I read that he was expected to play. So it's one flex choice time in PPR. Olave, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, or Carson Steele. To be done?
I mean, this one, I think I'm going to go. Oof. I mean, is Olave playing for sure? Do we have?
We don't know for sure yet. That'll come out at 9
information
o'clock. So, or top of the hour, 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't sound great on Olave. They can't say for sure whether he's playing. He's going to have to test it out for, before the game. So I'm going to go. I think Pollard is my start out of this group for sure. He's getting the work. He's looked actually better than he looked last year. That's not necessarily saying anything that crazy because he looked terrible last year, but looks better than he did before. And then I think I'm going to go Najee. He's still getting the bulk of the snaps there, but I don't feel great about that one. Steele, they've said they don't even know how they're going to deploy the running backs. So that makes me very weary of Kansas City. If Olave is on the field, I think he's my second, but if he's out, I'll go Najee.
Jeff.
Yeah, this is a tough one with Olave. So yeah, if he's in, you worry that he just retweaks that hammy and misses the rest of the game. So that's worrisome. But out of the 3 running backs, Steele is the last. Those like beat on, so we don't know how they're going to deploy them. Pollard has the best matchup on paper against Tennessee. I'm sorry, not against Tennessee, against Miami. But Najee, Jalen Warren's out, so he doesn't really have to compete outside of Cordell Patterson, which you don't really too concerned with. But it is Arthur Smith, so you never know. So I would lean Najee just because I think he'll get all the touches in a game. They'll probably be winning handily against the Colts.
Dave, who you got?
For me, as much as I like Olave in normal situations, I think it's dicey with his hamstring. I'm leaning Najee Harris here because I think he's number one. He's got the best matchup against Indianapolis, and two, Jalen Warren's going to be out of that game. So his competition for touches today is probably mostly going to be Cordero Patterson. So I'm gonna go with Najee here.
Najee Harris. All right. I'm going to go Najee as well. I was looking at Tony Pollard, who got work the first 2 weeks, but last week just 6 carries. I don't love that. And Najee Harris, look, I mean, he's kind of a rumbler, bumbler, stumbler. Shouts out to our good friend Chris Berman. But 70 rushing yards in each of the 3 weeks and over 17 carries. I mean, we just can't play with that. You know, you get opportunity. Yep. This offense is moving with Justin Fields, and Jalen Warren is just not playing. So he should get 25 carries, right? And he also had 5 receptions last week. So boost that. It's not going to be a big game. He's got to score. Najee has not scored yet, but he could against the Colts. So it's an indoor game. The Steelers are undefeated too. They're really starting to, you know, kind of their defense is playing great. It's kind of OG 90s, early 2000s Steelers, right? Ground and pound. The NFL doesn't really have that anymore. So Mike Tomlin's got him playing well. I think Najee Harris will play well. And also for anybody in the Southeast, how about Alabama? Just dismantling Georgia yesterday was pretty unbelievable. All right, let's move on to GR once again.
Yes, before we go to him, just shout out. We gotta thank you. So
we do have a thank.
Good job, team.
Y'all deserved way more subscribers. You guys are the only fantasy channel that go in detail to the questions and don't just answer them with no details. Zan, we're here for you. I appreciate it. Beaton, did you want to compliment on the Saturday football situation?
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, it was a beating until it wasn't, and then it became a really, really amazing game. So that's all I was gonna say.
It absolutely was. I just have to say, like, going out, yes, they only won by a touchdown, but early on to have that kind of route and then Georgia to come back, I just thought was pretty awesome. Like two big time rivals in the top 4. So pretty awesome. All right, let's move back to GR. Came in earlier for us as well. Half PPR, filling out 2 flex spots. Hate everything. GR, take a breath with me. It's week 4. We're going to get through this. We all hate everything. Most of our guys are hurt. We're all in the same boat. Take a breath, my man. Need 2 drops as well. Okay, so we got a lot going on here, gentlemen. Let's take a second. We got half PPR, filling 2 flex spots. We got a couple of drops as well. Jennings, Steele, Bucky, go Ducks. Brian Thomas Jr., Ridley, Addison Mostert, Worthy, Addison twice, Chandler, Keon Coleman, Roschon Johnson, and Zamir, my order. Okay, so it looks like let's just focus on 2 flex spots and half PPR. Be done?
Okay, so 2 flex spots, half PPR. I think Brian Thomas Jr. has been the primary receiver 2 out of the first 3 weeks. I think that's where Lawrence is looking, even though it doesn't seem to matter right now because he doesn't hit his target. But that seems to be his first read. You know, last week they got Kirk back involved, but it seemed like they were really just taking Thomas out of the game and making somebody else step up. Ingram's out again. So I'm going to go Brian Thomas Jr. for one of those spots. And then I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy, who is coming back. I feel like, you know, if people keep taking away Kelsey, which seems to be the play with everybody they've played so far, you know, there's going to be a game where Xavier Worthy is going to get on track and get some numbers here. I understand that is a bit of a Hail Mary play out of the names on here, but I am just kind of following a gut hunch there. I probably wouldn't rank them that way if I was sitting down and ranking them, but that's the way I'm going out of this group. I don't feel strongly about that second one though. Brian Thomas, I feel good about, and then from there, it's kind of a crapshoot.
Jeff.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Beat on. This is a trick one. I feel bad for you, GR, but we got answers for you though. BTJ, I think the Jags have. I'm a Jags fan, unfortunately, so they have to bounce back. They just have to. So they're gonna have to muster up some kind of offense against the Texans on the road. So I like BTJ with Evan Ingram still out as well. I want to go Worthy, but the Chargers surprisingly are top 10 defense against receivers. So I don't like that matchup in theory. The other only option I do like out of this bunch would be Keon Coleman. He did catch his first touchdown, so I wonder if he continues that chemistry with Allen, and I think in a game that might have more points than we're anticipating in that one. So I'll go Coleman with the two rookies, BTJ and Coleman.
Dave.
A lot of players here. This looks like one of my dilemmas. This is a pretty deep league. First of all, with Jordan Addison coming back, and since you listed him twice, I'm going to go with Jordan Addison as one of my guys. I want to say Ridley is number 2. I like that DeAndre Hopkins is starting to look like he's rounding into form. I just don't really like the matchup against Miami and what probably is going to be a low-scoring game. So I think I'm going to go with these guys and Brian Thomas Jr., even though I'm not a big fan of the Jacksonville offense.
Got it. Double checking. Raheem Mostert is, quote, trying to play. Don't love that.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, that's what ruled him out for me as well. Just
yeah, I'm trying to play. I'm trying to play too, but I don't like my chances.
Dave, quick question: Raheem Mostert or you in a 40-yard dash?
Raheem could run backwards on his hands and beat
until he pulled his hammy.
Hey, and then you got it's the turtle, right? The turtle in the hair. You know what I mean?
If he's got hammies in his forearms, then he's in trouble.
Raheem Mostert, unfortunately, has not played since week 1. I just want to make sure that he was or was not playing, because if he does play, it's an automatic, but he's not. Assuming you did have Jordan Addison mentioned here twice, I agree with Dave. That's an auto pick for me there. We'll see how he gets going. And I want to go Zamir White, but unfortunately, he hasn't been as efficient as I expected him to be. I was really high on him in the offseason, and Alexander Mattison on like 4 touches a game is the one scoring every week. So that one's really tough for me. My boy Bucky Irving is questionable. Jennings has been on fire, but Debo should play this week too. So having a tough time. I'm going to go with Addison and Brian Thomas Jr. I agree with Jeff that the Jags just have to get this right, which is wild. And I know this comes up on Sunday night and Monday night football marquees and stuff, but just a reminder that Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones are basically the same quarterback the last couple of years, and that's not hyperbole. I'm sorry, Jeff.
I know,
but that's not. A lot of us, throw shade at Daniel Jones, but when he's healthy and he's playing in fantasy points and all this other stuff, like him and Trevor Lawrence have identical stats, and Trevor Lawrence has the most turnovers since he came into the league among quarterbacks. So they got to turn it around here. I think BTJ can help them out tremendously, and hope Addison does as well for the Vikings. Yes, Dave.
I don't know. To me, that's not 2 guys lifting each other up. It's one guy dragging the other guy into the mud.
Either way, it's stats are stats. That's what's crazy about numbers, right? Numbers are numbers. Right. So we'll see what happens. But best of luck, GR. We got another one down here. 6 point. Oh, go ahead, be done.
I was gonna say, first of all, if we can go back to the last one, we didn't discuss who to drop, but I actually do kind of like Zamir this week. That backfield is strictly based on game script. If they are in a good game, Zamir gets the ball. If they're behind and chasing, then it's Madison. This feels like a very much slug it out game with Vegas and Cleveland. So I actually don't mind Zamir in this one. But in regards to the drop, I know Juwan Jennings did what he did, but when they're healthy, he's essentially useless. So I would drop him. And then, I know Roshan has, some talk about him this week as a Bears fan and somebody who, is kind of, I've liked Roshan in the past. He's just not that good. So I just don't think he's the guy that takes over, or if it's him, it's just a complete split down the middle, or even 3 ways if it's him. So those would be my 2 drops.
Okay, let's do that really quick. Good call out, Beat-On. We didn't mention that. Jeff and Dave, really quickly, who are you going to drop? Jeff, we'll go first.
No, I agree. Jennings and Roshan in this one. I think a lot of these players do have upside, and it's only week 4, and things can change really quickly for all these players. But of the group, Jennings is the 4th, 5th option if everyone's healthy in San Fran, and same with Roshan. I think the Bears are just going to pass more now and kind of go away from the run. So I think Roshan's droppable out of all these guys.
Dave?
Yeah, for me, the only people I hear talking about Roshan Johnson are fantasy talking heads. I don't really hear much out of the Bears, or I know Field Yates likes him some, but I'm not willing to give him the crown yet. He didn't even play, and he didn't even get any touches until last week. So I'm probably dropping Roshan here, and I'm probably out of these guys. I'm tempted to hang on to Jennings one more week. I know that Debo's probably going to be back today, and so is Kittle. But I do want to see what Jennings can do in that environment before I drop him. I think the other guy I'm going to drop here is Ty Chandler.
Yep, Dave, I'm with you pretty much completely. I'm definitely hanging on to Jennings, man. Just like the Niners have the injury bug big time this year, and Debo could go limp again. Kittle could go limp again. We know what happens when he gets the opportunity. So Jennings is not a drop. You just got to hold him, which is tough in roster spots. I get it. We got to hold him. Carson Steele with Kareem Hunt in there now. I think you could let go. I think you could let go to Roshan, but you might want to wait a week this week. And then Ty Chandler, I would say also there as well. And then Keon Coleman's fun, but if you have other options at wide receiver, it's much deeper. You can let that go as well. All right, GR, thank you. 6-point passing touchdown. Seems crazy to ride Hurts with no wide receivers or get cute and play Purdy, Dalton, Fields, or Darnold. Would require a drop of another bench guy like Coleman, Roshan, and Zamir level. We've talked about those drops already. Let's talk about the quarterback guys. Do we go with Hurts without Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, or do we go with Purdy, Dalton, Fields, or Darnold? Be done.
I think there's only one guy that would go over Hurts for me potentially, and that would be Purdy. I don't hate starting Purdy. I think I would actually go ahead and do that unless it was some kind of league that is like Scott Fishbowl where you get first downs and you get other things out of the rushing quarterbacks. If it's a standard league, I think I actually would start Purdy over Hurts. Given that Hurts is working with a lack of options. And then if you have to drop somebody around him, I mean, I already said I would drop Roshan, so that's fine with me. Again, I just don't think he's the guy. And if he's one, it's a trio. It's not him being one.
Got it. Jeff.
Yeah, I said you got to go with Hurts still. His rushing upside might be on full display this week. If I had to choose, it's probably Purdy, and then second would be Sammy D. Sammy D season for us here at Razzball. Sorry, boss, but Jordan Addison's back. Justin Jefferson, it's got a touchdown every week, so they continue to play well. This could be a shootout. Jordan Love is back, so it could be a fun game.
Dave.
I actually have both Hurts and Purdy in a dynasty, so they're both starting. I'm not crazy about Hurts this week. Jahan Dotson, Johnny Wilson, and Paris Campbell just really turned me off as wide receivers. I would probably play Purdy over Hurts. I'm not ready to anoint Dalton Fields. I like Darnold. I don't really care much for the matchup with Green Bay. So I would probably play Hurdy over Hurts just today.
I got you. Dave, I'm with you once again. Yes, Jeff.
Just one thing I just saw. Tampa Bay has allowed the second most rushing yards to quarterbacks this season and have allowed 3 rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks.
Nice.
Just throwing it out there.
Hurts could get his work, but I'm actually with Dave on this one. I'm going to go Purdy as well. He's got all of his weapons at least to start the game. That hasn't happened yet. Well, except for some guy named Christian McCaffrey, who we'll probably never see ever again, which is the worst. But we have everybody else. And Fields, Darnold, and Dalton have all played really well. Jordan Addison coming back to Minnesota, I'm really excited about for Sam Darnold, but I want to see it happen first. Dalton, again, we have that double-up game, revenge game, yada, yada. We'll see what happens. Fields has played quite well, but he hasn't really exploded. So I'm with you. Without those wide receivers, I don't like Hurts so much this week. He should get a rushing touchdown or two. If he does, maybe he gets 100 yards on the ground, but he might have 100 yards through the air as well. And I think that's going to even out. Brock Purdy, uncharacteristically, do not expect this, but 10 carries for 40 yards last year, running the ball a little bit. Like to see that. 3 touchdowns. He's got all of his weapons. I'm going to go Brock Purdy here. All right, folks. Jeff, can you just pull that comment off the screen, please? We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're all going to get some water. We're going to do some stretches. We're going to yell at the screen. We're going to figure out our start sits. We're going to do our rankings. Whatever we got to do. Beat On is going to take the floor for about 3 or 4 minutes here. Just let us know about all the different tools here at Razzball. Jeff, Dave, and myself are going to pop off the screen. William Jones, we see you back in here. Rashik, we're going to get to you as well. Lynn Dorfins is always back. Good morning as well. Cougar Gold, Ronald, Zayn is back. All in one show. Bill Dino has some more. Cam and Hiram. We have all you guys lined up in the queue. We will get to all your questions and everybody else. Once again, make sure you follow us on X. That's Rasball NFL. You can subscribe right here to the YouTube channel and follow us on the podcast for all the repurposed episodes. And as B-Don will break down in just 1 second, all of our exclusive content and great fantasy tools available for you on football.rasball.com. Jeff, myself, and Dave are going to take a quick water break. B-Don, the floor is yours. Let me pull up the image for you, and then we'll let you go for a couple of minutes, and we'll get some injury reports as we come back. Stick with us here on the Rasball Fantasy Football Show.
Hey guys, so as you can see on the screen, Rasball has a number of tools built out to help you in your decisions, whether that is start sit, whether that is pickups, whether that is looking at your DFS lineups. There is options for everybody. On the left side of the screen, you will see the free tools. This is available to everybody. You don't need anything to sign up for these. You can get your slot versus wide points per game. I just want you to know that is not really available anywhere else for free that I found. So, one of the few places you can come and find out how your slot corners do, how your slot receivers do versus your wideouts. Those are great numbers to look at. We have the adjusted line yards matchup metric. Again, this is a metric that's created in-house, and it is really useful when you are setting your lineups. Moving down, you can see we have targets, we have snaps, rushes, and targets all in one screen. Most places that you go look, you have to jump around to 3, 4, 5 different screens to find those people or to find those numbers. Here, it's all in one screen. You can filter by team, you can filter by position, you can do any number of things that you want in regards to those numbers. We also have home road, win-loss, touchdown, rushing, and receiving. All of those splits tools are available for you for free on Rasball. And again, I don't know anywhere else that has those tools for free. Now, moving over the premium tools, the ones that, yes, you do have to pay for. Now, the monthly payment is not that bad, guys. It's really not. You can use it for football. You can use it for baseball. And then there's also the DFS tools available for you as well. On the last question, there was a Purdy versus Hurts. And I'll just let you know in the weekly projections that we have on the quarterback projections, it has Brock Purdy one spot over Jalen Hurts. I'm going to give you that one for free just because it was the last question. Also, it favors what I said, and Jeff, Sky, and Dave aren't here to say anything back to me and tell me that I'm wrong. So, I win. There you go. Back over. You can do weekly projections, all positions. You can do flex. You can do super flex. They're all there. You can do what if tools. So the what if tool isn't necessarily on this screen, but it's especially useful if you're thinking about starting somebody in an afternoon or a night matchup or a Monday night game where somebody may not play. You can jump in there and see, okay, what if AJB doesn't play? What if somebody doesn't play? What happens to the offense? And it adjusts the numbers around. It's really useful, fun tool to play around with and just kind of work around there. Also, full season rankings. If you've listened to me and Rudy on the Rasball Football Podcast, which you can listen to, subscribe right here on youtube.com/Rasball Fantasy. You know that weekly rankings is really how Rudy puts together his yearly rankings. He does 18 week by week rankings that all accumulate into what the rest of season looks like. So you can see each of those weeks. You can see cumulative. You can see everything that you want to see. And then in the DFS tools, you can come in here. You can look at DraftKings. You can look at a stack. It's going to help you optimize your lineup. It's going to help you figure out where those dollars can really be spent. There's DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, all in here. You don't have to figure out projections on your own. You don't have to build any extra tools. You just come out here, you look at it. It's a one-stop spot for everything. And another great thing about our tools specifically is, you can go out and you can comment to myself. You can comment to Rudy and bring up points about, oh, what do you think about this guy? I noticed it on the weekly projections that he's over this guy. And then sometimes, we'll have a conversation and maybe there is something in the numbers that Rudy wants to play with, or, it's changed since preseason or even last week. And those splits are different. The snaps are different. The carries may look different, or we may notice different patterns, and all of that gets thrown into those weekly projections. So it's just completely one-stop shop for everything. You don't have to jump around. You don't have to have 55 tabs open. You just come over here to Raz Bowl, and it's all right there for you. I see everybody's back from their breaks. Hopefully they've got their lineup set. They've checked the injury reports, and we are ready to roll and get the rest of these questions answered. Let's go, boys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Nice job, Beaton. Appreciate you breaking all that down. Once again, we have 190 of you tuning in live right now to the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. Beaton, if you need to take a second and get your own water break or do your pregame stretches and routine, we respect that. So please feel free to go do that if you need just a couple of minutes yourself. All right, gentlemen, we are back on the screen. Jeff, can you bring us back to where we were?
Yep.
We are back up here with Billiam Jones once again. Who is that?
Who?
Billiam Jones. That's right.
Beep, 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 beep. Chris Olave, officially active for the game today.
Let's go. Nice. So we start checking these guys off here. Chris Olave active. Maybe a Deebo Samuel decision before we get kicking off here for the early games. Just, fan requests. We'll see what happens. Need a tight end help. We got Parkinson. Do I switch to Ertz or Morneau? Oof. Morrow. I always say Morneau because Bob says Morneau. And then that makes me sound unprofessional. I know it's not Morneau. Bob always says it, and it throws me off. Good grief. Beaton, we'll go with you first here. Do we stick with Parkinson's?
Another start sit alert. Joe Mixon officially out. So I think we covered that earlier, but since we are kicking off the top here, go ahead and say that. I'm going with Ertz here. I mean, we've talked about Ertz already today. Moreau, I mean, I like him. I think he's actually a pretty good tight end as far as that goes, but he's splitting targets with two other tight ends. There's not many other teams that you have to deal with that on. So as much as I like Foster Moreau and we've seen him, be productive, I just can't trust him given the way that team uses tight ends. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking in regards to the question here.
Jeff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we got to go Hurts. Just matchup based, point total. Morrow caught a touchdown week 1, nothing since really, and with the Rams, not really sure what that's going to look like. So I'd rather go with Hurts.
Ertz. Sans H, silent H on Ertz. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. All right, Dave, go ahead.
Dave, mute.
Oh, I got you, buddy. No worries. Save the day. There it is.
Okay. Sorry about that. Out of all those guys, Moreau can kind of go to the wayside by me. There's not a lot of volume there. So it comes down to Parkinson and Ertz, and I agree with Beaton and Jeff here. I like Ertz better this week against Arizona than Parkinson against the Bears.
Yeah, boy. I think I'm just going to go Ertz based on what we know, but this is tough, man. Tight end position is rough, so let's go with Ertz. That's a 4-pack. There it is. 4-pack. Well done. All right, let's get into the next couple of questions here. Rashik, good morning. Help much appreciated. Full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex positions. Gentlemen, we need 4 guys. 2 of them must be wide receivers. JSN, K-Dub. That's
Kenneth Walker, I'd assume.
I would too, but like Keon Coleman.
Kenny Walker, Kylan Williams. I'm not exactly sure who he's talking about.
Keon Coleman, that's rough. K-Dub is not. All right, it's okay. We'll keep it moving here. Ridley, Worthy, Demarcus Robinson. 2 wide receivers, 2 flex spots. Beat on.
All right, so I think wide receiver wise, I'm going with JSN and Worthy and just shooting for the upside because, I mean, the Tennessee offense just lacks upside as a
Kenneth
whole.
Walker. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So good. It's KW3. So yeah, I'm just going to go with the upside plays in regards to the wide receivers. Kenneth Walker is going to get in here by default because the rest of it's kind of ugly. And then I guess the one I'm sitting down is going to be DeMarcus Robinson. So I guess it's really just who you sit down, right?
Yeah, basically sit one of these players might be an easier way to do it.
Yeah. So I'm sitting down D-Rob.
I agree for all the points Beat on said, and then just the Bears allow the 5th lowest points to receivers. So I don't like the matchup for Robinson.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to either Worthy or DeMarcus Robinson. And in that case, I'm going to go for the guy that's probably more likely to make a big play and give you a bunch of points all at once. So I'm going to sit DeMarcus Robinson here as well.
I also am going to. There's opportunity to have there, but I just don't know that the volume will actually do it. So I agree. I love JSN. We talked about that earlier. You got to start Kenneth Walker. Ridley should be consistent-ish, although Miami's playing well. And then Worthy's just a big play shot, but I think DeMarcus Robinson is well too. So there you go. Thank you, Rashik, for tuning in after the fact and letting us know about Kenneth Walker. That's super helpful. And I think it would be K. Trey. Can we get an edit on that? K Dub is like Kenneth Walker Jr. He's Kenneth Walker III. So let's maybe move that to K Trey. And I think we'll be good moving forward. Just
what are the kids saying?
Just semantics. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. As the editor of the program, I feel like obligated to catch shit like that. So, all right. Lindorphins coming in with a handful of questions every time. Happy Sunday, Lindorphins. Many years you've been on the program with us. We always appreciate you, buddy. Happy Sunday in a half PPR. Would you roll the dice with Worthy? We got a lot of Worthy questions coming up now against the Chargers. Lad McConkey in that same game versus the Chefs. DeMarcus Robinson versus the Bears, or Addison going up against Green Bay. This is a pretty tough one. I think all these guys are pretty equal right now. Beat on who you got?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go, I'm not going to go away from the answers I've had to this point. I'm just going to go with the guy that has the best quarterback, and I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, it's pretty much that simple.
Worthy too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's Addison against Green Bay. I think probably out of all these guys, he's probably the guy that might get the volume.
I agree. I'm with Dave on this one. We're unfortunately Lindorphins. I know we hate these when we go 50-50, but I think we're going to have to on this one. So I'm going to go with Lindorphins also.
Addison would be my 2.
Nice. Other question here, half PPR. Do you prefer Najee Harris at the Colts, Kenneth Walker versus the Lions, or Akers at Jacksonville?
Yikes. This is not a great set of matchups. I mean, I'm going to go with, I think the best offense / matchup of the group and go with Cam Akers. Kenneth Walker, a little banged up, still, coming back from injury with a bad matchup, splitting carries. Normally I would say Kenneth Walker, but given the matchup, I'm going to go with Akers versus Jacksonville.
I want to disagree. Sorry, Beat on, but I'm going to go Najee on this one. I think he's going to get lots of volume today with Jaylen Warren being out. As much as I want to say Kenneth Walker, he's the best of the 3. He has the worst matchup against Detroit. They allow the fewest amount of points to any running backs through 3 weeks this season, and we don't know if it's going to be like a 50-50 split with Charbonnet. So I'm going to go Najee Harris in this one.
Yep, in a perfect world for me, it's Kenneth Walker, but he's beat up, and he's playing the Lions, who are allowing like 70 yards a game rushing. So he's out of it for me. I just don't know that the volume's going to be there for Akers. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Najee. I think he's got the best matchup against the Colts.
Same. I agree. I'm going to go Najee Harris earlier. Went with him earlier. He's getting the work. Again, 17, 18, 20 carries plus a couple receptions every week. He might get 25 plus this week with Jaylen Warren out again. So I'm going to go with him as well, Najee Harris. Last one from Lindorphins. Best DST today. We got Vikings at the Jordan Love. Can we confirm that, gentlemen? Can we double check on Jordan Love?
He is active.
He is for sure. Okay, so Jordan Love coming back for the Packers. And we got Broncos versus Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and then Raiders and Cleveland. Jeff's sneak attack game of the week there. Beat on?
So defense-wise, I'm Vikings at Green Bay, that's out. I'm going to go Broncos at the Jets. The Jets, they have a solid offense, but it's not overly scary, and I think the Broncos is the best defense of the group. So I'm just going to go Broncos at the Jets.
Yeah, I want to agree, but I don't really trust Deshaun Watson still. I think on paper, Raiders are the better matchup, but I think the Broncos might surprise and get a couple turnovers against A-Rod. So let's roll with the Broncos.
Yeah, for me, the Raiders are out. They've got a ton of injuries on the defense. Max Crosby's doubtful. Divine Diablo's out. Their secondary isn't great. I know the Browns' offense isn't great, but I don't really like the Raiders' defense. Leaning Broncos, but I'm starting the Vikings in a lot of places. I'm still going to go with the Broncos over the Jets because I think that's going to be one of the more low-scoring games of the week, and I think they've got a very tough defense to pass on.
I think I'm going to surprise here maybe a little bit and go Minnesota. Jordan Love's going to be fine probably if he's healthy, but if he's not healthy or anything happens or they slow him down, go Jacobs, whatever. Minnesota's played very, very well so far. I usually don't like my defenses on the road, but this is a divisional game. It's fine. I would have gone Raiders, but Dave's absolutely right. And by the way, folks, Dave's article is excellent. Again, he's a new writer here for us at Razzball, and more so than anybody else at Razzball, just because that's what he's focusing on. He lists so many defensive players that don't get talked about a lot in the fantasy circles, and defensive players and DSTs matter when you play in those leagues. So make sure to check out Dave's articles every week at football.razzball.com. But he's mentioning so many defensive players individually, so that's really important. He knows his stuff there. So I agree with you on the Raiders. And if it was the other way around, Jets are my number 2 DST against my boy Bo Nix. Go Ducks. But the Broncos versus the Jets, I don't necessarily love there with Rodgers at home. So I'm going to take a flyer on Minnesota just because they've been playing well. All right, Cougar Gold coming in, Chuba or Evans, full PPR. We got kind of a streaming flex RB3 here decision. Beat on?
Who are we thinking Evans is referring to?
Chase Evans, I would imagine.
If it's Chase Evans,
if it's Mike Evans, this isn't a question.
That's what kind of. I mean, it feels kind of either way. I feel like it's pretty straightforward. It's either Mike Evans, yes, or it's Chuba if it's any other Evans that I can't think
it's
of.
got to be.
I honestly can't think of any Evans other than Mike, and you're starting Mike Evans.
There's a Chris Evans, but he's not very active.
Yeah, he's out. Yeah, he's on IR. I mean, it's Mike Evans. It's the only Evans that's fantasy relevant. Yeah. I know he's banged up, or he was a little banged up, and he didn't come out last week. But come on, it's Mike Evans. Let's not get crazy.
Yeah, Mike Evans against the rookie secondary of Philly.
Yep, I hate when Mike Evans gives me 3 catches for 20 yards, but I do love it when he gives me 120 and 2 touchdowns. So I always play the upside play in this case, and I just don't see it with Chuba.
Agreed. Assuming it's Mike Evans, it's a no-brainer. Beat on really quick back to you. If it was Dorsey Levens or Chuba Hubbard, who you got?
Oh, we're going Dorsey, of course.
Yeah, Prime Dorsey Levens is a smash play here.
Nice. Shout out to our boy Matt Stiles and the OG Packers.
It could be one of those generations leagues. So
nice, awesome. Ronald McDonald, not a sponsor. Hello, Razzball Fantasy, and hello, Sky Guasco. Good morning, Beach. Great to see you. This is Beach. Dave, name change. Question today. 1 PPR, need 1 flex. McLaurin, Jameson Williams, Khalil Shakir. Thank you, Beach. You've been with me in my programs before Razzball. You've been here with Razzball a good 5+ years. Great to see you, buddy, and glad we can team up once again on a Sunday morning. Best of luck. Hope your teams are going well. All right, boys, we need a PPR, 1 flex position. McLaurin, Williams, Shakir. Be done.
I'm going Terry. I would have him and Jameson fairly close, and Shakir's actually, they're all kind of in the same area. Shakir's probably the bottom of the group. Just, he's kind of, it's more of a question mark than anything. Whereas McLaurin is the most talented, and as we talked about earlier with Jameson, in that matchup, Amon-Ra is going to struggle, or at least they're going to try and take away Amon-Ra. They've been very good at doing that in Seattle. So I think Jameson has to step up in order for the offense to kind of get it together. But I'm going Terry based off of last week and just assuming he's going to continue to build on that. He gets the targets. He has the involvement if everything continues from last week. And again, he's the best of the group.
Jeff.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he is the best. He's the number one of all the three receivers. So you like that and a great matchup. I'm gonna side with Terry McLaurin in this one.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with McLaurin too. I was really encouraged to see Jaden Daniels just throwing the ball up to him last week. Terry can go get those balls. They need to keep doing that. As far as Jameson Williams goes, I do not like the matchup against the Seattle secondary much this week. I'm not looking for much there. Love Shakir. I just don't think the volume's there for him yet. But he's not far from McLaurin for me, but I'm still going with Terry.
I'm going to go with Terry as well. Obviously, we could have a one-stop shop or one catch for 85 yards from Jameson Williams, so that's tough. And Khalil Shakir, we've been repping a lot, but we've known Terry McLaurin's that dude for a long time. He just needs to get consistency, and I think that we can finally get that from Jaden Daniels. So let's ride the wave and get Scary Terry back in the mix there. All right, Beach has got another one. Would you Ryan Williams, Travis Hunter?
It's a Debbie question.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I'm still taking Travis Hunter at this point, but I got to tell you, Ryan Williams looked great against Georgia last night. Man, he had that game-winning touchdown catch, and really another nice catch contested downfield. Had a ton of yards and a touchdown. But I'm going to take Hunter still at this point. Plus, he's two-way. He may be the next two-way NFL player, Travis Hunter.
We'll see. He is certainly doing it so far at Colorado, and they smashed up. I think they were like a 24-point underdog or something like that, and came out big time versus UCF. Or UCF, was it? Whatever. Either way. All right, Debbie question for Beach. I love it. All right, all in one show. Good morning. Would you start Ford over Jacobs considering the matchups? Be done.
I don't think so. I think I'm still leaning Jacobs. I understand the reason for the question. It's good to see Jerome Ford come back without a injury designation this week. I don't trust the Cleveland offense, and I think that's the primary distinction here for me in this one. That offense is not good. So I'm just going to go away from that. I'll take Jacobs, even if he was splitting some work last week. I still feel like that was more of the fact that Jordan Love wasn't in there. They're trying to do different things. Whereas with Jordan Love, Jacobs probably resumes his normal role.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And you got to go Jacobs in this one still. It's going to be a good game, and they're going to have to rely on him. We don't know how healthy the knee is for Love, so I think they're going to give Jacobs a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't want to overthink this, but it's closer for me than I originally thought when I first looked at the question. But I'm still going to lean Jacobs just as a pure volume play over Ford. I do like the matchup against the beat up Raiders front line, but I just don't think the volume's going to be there for Ford. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they got Dante Foreman more involved in just this particular game. So I'm going to stick with Josh Jacobs here.
Which they have been in Cleveland. And folks, kind of a beat the waiver wire. If you have a spot available right now before kickoff so you don't have to wait for waivers next week, go get Nick Chubb if he's available for you. He will be available to be active. They might not activate him right away, but he's moved his 4 weeks. So that could be an IR stash if you'd like. You might have to eat it for 3 more weeks, but I'd rather have Nick Chubb eating dust on my roster than a lot of these other guys. So go pick up Nick Chubb for free right now while you can, if you can. Josh Jacobs, 16 carries, 32 in week 2 versus the Colts, and then 14 last week. He's yet to score a touchdown. I mentioned earlier, he's 4 receptions away from the most receptions without a career touchdown receiving, which is insane. And Minnesota, I think, will, give up the run a little bit here. So I agree. I'm going to go Josh Jacobs on this one as well. Bill Dino, good morning. Before we get to your question, we got about a half hour to kick off, everybody. So those of you listening, before we get to your question, our panelists here as well, do not get too distracted. I just set my own lineups to make sure that I do that myself. So make sure you set your own lineups, get those DFSs in if you'd like. You can check out that article from Derek every single week as well at football.rasball.com to give you some cheat sheet ideas. And make sure you get your lineup set. We do have a couple injuries getting activated, deactivated coming up as well. We don't always get the afternoon slot. We don't get Sunday and Monday night necessarily during this program. So make sure you keep track of that. And also put your later players into your flex position in case you need to make an adjustment later on. A little cheat sheet move there for you too. Okay, we got about 30 minutes left, so we're going to try to blast the rest of these questions out. All of you that are in line here, we're going to get to all your questions. But once again, if you'd like to jump the line for any reason, feel free to drop us a super chat, $1, a couple bucks, whatever it's worth to you. We appreciate it, and we'll bring your question right to the front of the line. Bill Dino, thanks, gents. Always a pleasure, my man. Not a problem. And I do concur with Najee Harris that you guys deserve more. With Najee, that you guys deserve more followers, so much detail, info you barred out. I think Gray needs to open his wallet and advertise you fellas. #skull. I am not here to risk my job discussing how the money is moved around the company, but we'll certainly send that up the line through HR and see what happens moving forward. Thanks, Bill. We appreciate you. Cam is back here. Josh Jacobs, we just talked about. Zach Moss. Guys, let's eat these questions a little bit quicker. B-Don, go ahead.
It's PPR.
Thank you.
I'm going Jacobs.
Jacobs.
I like Moss's matchup. I think he's going to be fine, but I think Jacobs is playing here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Zach Moss here. I like the matchup against Carolina much better than the matchup against Minnesota, and I hear a lot about Chase Brown, but don't see a lot about Chase Brown. So I'm gonna go Moss. I know it's a little bit counterintuitive, but I think he's probably got the potential higher ceiling.
I like that, Dave. Way to counter there. RB9 last week, Zach Moss in PPR. I'm going to stick with Josh Jacobs because I think they're going to kind of lighten the load for Jordan Love this particular week. But Dave, I absolutely agree with you. It was a much better matchup at Carolina. You got to think Cincinnati is eventually going to click through the air, right? Like they have to. And maybe it's this week versus Carolina because you can kind of do whatever you want. So we'll see what happens there. All right, PPR, Lad McConkey, Khalil Shakir, be done.
Shakir. I think we had something similar to this earlier, so I won't spend too much time on it.
Yep, I agree. Shakir for me too.
Yeah, Shakir. There's just too much lining up against Lad McConkey in this game. Herbert's dicey health at best. I'm surprised they're not sitting him this week. I know probably he drove that, but I just don't think they got a good matchup against Kansas City's secondary. But I'm going to go with Shakir over McConkey.
Yeah, Justin Herbert's a lot more mobile than people give him credit about. Shout out to the Rose Bowl when he won the game on the ground. But when he's not mobile, it's tough because he is a pocket passer at 6'6", obviously, but he actually evades the pocket quite well. And he's been very limited lately. And I'm concerned about that versus Spagnuolo and that defense for Kansas City. Like that could get ugly in a hurry. So I agree. I'm going to go Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, Kansas City broke them last year.
Yep.
Yeah, no, on that note, next week for week 5 buys, we got the Lions, the Chargers, Eagles, and the Titans. So that's why I'm kind of surprised they want to play Herbert. I know it's a big game against the Chiefs, but they got a bye next week. So maybe that's why they're pushing to play him more because they can have an extra week to recover. But still kind of interesting.
Yeah, Chiefs
he went out. So go ahead, Sky.
I was just going to say the Chiefs get by the Chargers each time because they're a better team, but the Chargers generally play a pretty strong 3 quarters against them every opportunity, and they just end up getting surpassed eventually. Dave, go ahead.
Love those rivalry games, but I'm with Jeff. He got hurt again last week. playing on that bad leg.
Right.
I'm just amazed that they're not taking the 2 weeks to give him off. But he's out there. You gotta love it.
I agree. All right. Hiram, good morning. Start 1 PPR. Shaheed, Watson, Sutton, Mooney, also Komet and Pitts. Let's answer both questions, gentlemen. Wide receivers and then the tight end. Go ahead, be done.
Wide receivers. I'm gonna go with Shaheed. We've been pumping him all show. I'm not gonna back off now. Watson was the one I was considering throwing in with him because I think they're very similar in kind of what you're looking to get from them. But I'm gonna go with Shaheed, and then I'm a Kyle Pitts truther, so you're never gonna get any answer other than Kyle Pitts from me. Plus, the Bears' offense is awful.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like Shaheed too. I want to go Watson though, but I just worry that a lot of his plays will have to develop, and on his knee, they're gonna probably want to do a lot of quick passes. So this could be a big game for Jaden Reed for the Packers. So I'm gonna go Shaheed, and then for the tight end, you got to go with Pitts in this one.
For me, it's going to be Shaheed and hope for the 41-yard touchdown that they didn't connect on last week. Sutton could get 10 catches for 45 yards. It's just you're hoping for major volume there, and I'm just not doing that. As far as the tight end goes, yeah, I'm still going Pitts over Komet.
Yeah, same. We've gone Shaheed all morning, all around. I'm going to stick with that. Although Darnell Mooney has really played very well. So he's a nice kind of secondary option there, but I am going to go Shaheed. And again, tight end, man, you go for upside, period. And Komet might actually get more volume, but the upside's always there with Pitts. So I'm going to keep continuing to roll the dice there. And eventually, Kirk Cousins does love his tight end back to Jordan Reed days and everybody else. So I do think that that's going to click eventually.
Yeah, the problem with leaning on volume for the Bears is they ran 84 offensive plays last week. That's very uncommon.
Yeah.
So
insane.
I'm not hoping for a lot of volume from the Bears, even though they're playing a very banged up Rams defense.
And they do have so many other options there as well. A couple quick notes, just side notes. We haven't really had a discussion with these guys in the chat, but I'm just looking at the updates. Alvin Kamara versus the Falcons. Rashad White versus the Eagles. And Bucky Irving versus the Eagles as well, all active. They were questionable coming in this morning. They're all officially active, so there's a few running backs back on your roster there. Francisco, good morning. 10-man competitive league. Love that. What format is it, though? Let's go half PPR, gentlemen. For my flex, do I start Chuba or Akers? Again, mixing out.
Yeah, I think we've talked about these two a couple of times as well. I'm leaning Akers. Better matchup, better offense. That's pretty much the decision for me. I don't think either running back is particularly special. So I'll just take the better matchup, better team.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Chuba on this one. I just don't really trust Cam Akers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chuba too. I think he's probably a better volume play here. If you're playing Akers, you're kind of hoping for a home run play, and I just don't know that that's going to be there.
Yeah, I agree there. I'm going to go with it. And not a sponsor, but I love it was like better offense, better matchup, Rasball. Something like that. That's what we need. Like we might get sued for doing that, but I think it'd be kind of a cool slogan. So we'll work on that up the ladder. A couple more here. Deebo Samuel expected to play this week. Keenan Allen is active versus the Rams, and Chris Olave we talked about earlier, as well as Deontay Johnson versus the Bungles is active as well. So all these questionable tags starting to roll in as active. We are 23 minutes away from kickoff. Get those lineups set. Give us any last minute questions. Lindorphins, always a pleasure. Never a chore, my man. You've been with us for a number of years. Appreciate you. My comment isn't posting for some reason. Thanks for the help, you guys. Bill, try again if you need to. We'll get you in. I know we've got a couple questions from you this morning. Appreciate it. Cam, no worries. Marius, good morning. PPR flex, Kamara Adunze. Ooh, this is a high level one. Like that.
It's Alvin Kamara. He's on the field. You're starting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even close for me. It's Kamara. I understand the question. as he was questionable coming in, but he's in the lineup. He's in my lineup.
Same. Let's hope for 6 touchdowns today.
It's a little early for Christmas.
Hey man, I'll take it any day of the week. He had 4.5 in the first half of week 2 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Kid Kobe is back once again. Good morning, Kid Kobe. Always great to have you as well. Good morning. Leggett, Brian Thomas Jr., half PPR. Thank you. You're welcome. Beat on.
Real quick, while I can plug the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. If you have these questions, you can always send them to us on Twitter at RazBeaton or at Rudy Gamble if you want us to answer them during the podcast and get ahead of this. But otherwise, I'm going Brian Thomas. I mean, I don't trust. Again, we talked about that passing offense and what we think is going to happen for Xavier Legette. So I just don't trust that to continue. That's pretty much my thought.
It's a great thought. I will continue it. Let's go with Brian Thomas.
Yeah, the only league I would consider Leggett over Brian Thomas is Scott Fishbowl, or any league with return yardage. But no, give me Brian Thomas here.
I'm going to go Brian Thomas as well. Big fan. To start the season, you go LSU wide receivers. That's the rules. Juan Garcia, Stevenson, Dobbins, Hubbard, Adunze, JSN. We need 2 at running back and a flex. Be done.
Dobbins, JSN. I don't trust Chuba. Adunze. The Bears' offense is terrible, and everybody's finally healthy. We talked about Stevenson and game script. So yeah, it's Dobbins, JSN for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree again with you, Beat on. You keep stealing my thunder, but that's all good. Yeah, we'll go with Dobbins and Jason.
I'm going to make it 3 in a row for those 2. Just love Stevenson, just don't love the matchup against the 49ers, and don't really love the New England offense. And Chuba's a good play, but he's farther down the board for me.
Yeah. I'm not a big Stevenson guy, but I mean, it might just be volume and dump downs. I don't know. I'm going to go Dobbins for sure, and I'll go Stevenson as my other running back, and then I got to go JSN. I think it's a big week for him, actually. PPR league, gentlemen, if that changed anything. Yeah. Yusuf Khan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yusuf Khan. J.K. Dobbins, Kenny Walker, half PPR.
Dobbins. We talked about Walker's matchup earlier and just the fact that he's coming back from injury. So I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, this is one of my dilemmas, actually, one of my home leagues. And I'm siding with J.K. Dobbins as well. I want to go with Kenny Walker, but you just don't know the workload on a Monday night. You just hate to see him get 7 or 8 touches and does nothing for you.
Yeah, a couple of months ago, this would have been a chuckle, but I do not like the Walker matchup with Detroit and the fact that he's coming off a couple of weeks off. So it's going to be Dobbins for me.
I'm going to go Dobbins as well. Purdy, Jaden Daniels. It's a tough one here. Purdy and Jaden Daniels both have been electric the last couple of weeks. If Purdy has his full complement of weapons, which he does, and the guys happen to catch passes, he could be absolutely electric. But Jaden Daniels has taken the league by storm the last couple of weeks. So you got beat on.
It's Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's been great. Arizona's defense is okay at best. I'm going with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, you got to go with Jaden Daniels in this one. He's one of the more exciting quarterback, I think, fantasy because of rushing appeal. I know Purdy is kind of running a little bit, though, but and this game is going to be exciting, so I'm going to roll with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, this is a pretty close question for me, and it comes down to floor versus ceiling. So if I'm looking for a safer floor, I'm playing Purdy. If I'm looking for a ceiling play, it's going to be Daniels. I think the Arizona defense is a little bit better than people are giving them credit for, certainly better than I was giving them in week 1. They held Detroit to 20 points last week, and they held the Rams to 10 the week before. So I like Daniels as the ceiling play, Purdy as the floor play. It all depends on what you need.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Daniels here. I think Purdy's going to be great, but again, the rushing opportunity just breaks fantasy football, as we know. Marius and Yusuf Khan and Francisco, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in here. We do have a couple minutes, everybody. I do have a couple questions myself, which, we only do if we have extra time. We do have extra time. So, gentlemen, if you have a line of questions you would like to bring to the panel, now would be a great time to do that. It's a single quarterback league, but I have 3 quarterbacks going. I have Jaden Daniels. I have Kyler Murray, and let's see, Geno Smith. Who would you guys pick for that quarterback situation?
So it's Daniels, Kyler, and who was the third one?
Geno.
I think I'm going with Kyler. I mean, Washington is not a good team. So, I mean, there's a couple of really good quarterbacks there. So I'm going with Kyler.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to lean Kyler. My concern is Trey McBride is out.
Yes.
So that's
where I'm at.
That makes me want to lean Jaden Daniels, but he is a rookie. This might be the biggest game so far in the year, like just matchup wise and buzz heading into it. So I wonder how he looks. And again, he did well on Monday night, but with McBride out, I'm leaning Jaden.
Yeah, it's for me, Jaden's got the worst matchup out of the 3. I love Geno's matchup against Detroit, and I really, really love Kyler Murray's matchup against the Washington defense. That defense is Swiss cheese. That defense won't win many games for the Commanders. I'm going to take out of these 3. I'm going to take Kyler.
All right, I got one more here. Another 3 quarterback, single quarterback league. There's just big points. That's why we have more quarterbacks than you're supposed to in a single quarterback. Jaden Daniels again, Jordan Love, and Jared Goff.
Jaden.
Yeah, Jaden.
Yeah, Daniels here for me too. I don't think Goff has I know he's at home, but I don't think he has a great matchup against the Seattle secondary.
Beautiful. Appreciate that. Any questions from you guys before we get any more? Epic Fail just came in with one. Let's jump to his. Half PPR, we have Waddle or Trey Tucker.
Wow. How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, well.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
this is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna go Waddle. Just one play could make the game. I understand Trey Tucker had a very nice week last week getting in the end zone, but I'm just gonna. That's where I'm going. I think there actually is opportunity for Trey Tucker just because Devontae's out. Who else is gonna catch the ball there? But I mean, it's Jalen Waddle. I feel like I would have to start him because if he goes off on my bench, I'm gonna feel so bad.
Yeah, with Trey Tucker, that's Waddle. I just hate the quarterback situation, but Waddle has the best chance to do something, I think. Even though Trey Tucker, I think, is the number 1 waiver adder right now for today's matchups, but got to go with Waddle.
Yeah, I love Trey Tucker as a tournament play in DFS, but in season long, I've got to stick with Waddle. There's just too big of a gap for me to bridge using any logic.
Yeah, tough. I mean, Trey Tucker again. Devontae's out. Trey Tucker's tough. 9 targets last week, and that touchdown, 96 yards. I'm actually going to go with Trey Tucker against Cleveland. I don't think anybody has the stones to play him, so you're probably going to go Waddle because we know there's probably volume at least, and maybe upside there just because it's Miami's offense. But I'm gonna throw one in for Trey Tucker real quick, just because the opportunity. That's it. But Cleveland's secondary could absolutely squash this game immediately, so probably not a smart play. But I'll throw his name in the hat there. Marius is back. Pickens, Odunze, Calvin's Ridley.
Disappointments What are disappointments that I drafted in different leagues? I guess I'm going Ridley. I don't love that offense, but he's been the number one target 2 of the 3 weeks for whatever that's worth in Tennessee's terrible passing offense. But I guess I'm going Ridley. There's too many options for a Dunze, and we just haven't seen Pickens really get off the ground yet this season with Justin Fields. He's getting targets, just that's about it.
Yeah, I want to go Ruma Dunze. The Rams are really bad in the secondary. They allow the second most points to receivers, but Keenan Allen is back today from his heel injury, so I don't know what that looks like volume-wise. Pickens is the number one for Fields, but that doesn't really mean much. They're probably going to run a lot more. And Ridley is, actually, I'm gonna go with Ridley on this one.
Yeah, to me, I'm just not ready to put a Dunze on the same tier as the other two guys yet. Week or two more, it might change. Back and forth, Ridley, Pickens. Yeah, I'd probably go Ridley in this case too. I think Pittsburgh will be able to run the ball pretty effectively, and that'll take some heat off the passing game. So I'll go Ridley here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ridley too, but I do think Adunze has an opportunity. 11 targets, 6 catches, 112 and a touch last week. Obviously, that was his breakout so far as a 3-week rookie. I don't really trust the Bears offense. My boy Keenan is back, so I'm not going to start him this week, but monitor this. If he gets another double-digit target game, these rookies come in together. We see that the veterans take over because they're trusty and we get all that stuff. But as they start to click, these rookies click with other rookies, because they come into camp together early and that kind of stuff and build rapport. So keep an eye on Rome, although I'm not willing to do it just yet. Marius should have traded Ridley for Montgomery when he had the chance. If he does again, let's talk about this really quick here. Let's just do flex position head to head. You want Ridley or David Montgomery moving forward to beat on?
I want David Montgomery. I know he's splitting, but I at least feel safe he's going to get work every week. Whereas Calvin Ridley in that passing offense, nothing's going to improve this season. I don't see Will Levis all of a sudden clicking and getting it together. So I would go Montgomery, and just that way I feel comfortable starting one of them each week. Whereas Ridley's just, he's a flyer.
Jeff?
Yeah, I love Demont. Loved him coming into the season, so sticking with David Montgomery.
Dave?
Yeah, for me, Montgomery. It just comes down to running back versus wide receiver and good offense versus not so good offense. So yeah, I'm with Monty here too.
All right, Demont over Cal Rid. Lucas Latch, pick 3. Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers. Again, mixing out.
I'm going to go with Akers and Dobbins. I think, we've had similar questions. I like Akers this week. I know there's some mixed feelings about that, but I really don't know who in Houston else is going to touch the ball. JJ Taylor is, I don't think he's involved. Dare is used only in receiving. Mix and Pierce both out. So I'm just going to go with Akers again. Good matchup, good offense. That's where I'm going.
So out of the 3,
I got to pick 3.
Yeah, you got 3.
Is this sit one? It looks like a sit one.
Yeah, sit one. I guess I'm sitting Kenneth Walker again, just injury matchup related. Any other week he'd be he'd be one of the first ones chosen, but I think this week he's out.
Yeah, as much as it pains me, I'm gonna sit Kenneth Walker. Akers, he better show up today, beat on.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Come on, beat on. Beat on. Come on, man.
Him and Rashid Shaheed both need to happen.
Yeah, that's our guys for sure.
Yeah, I don't hate Cam Akers beat on, so don't take that personally. But out of these 4 guys, I'm probably sitting Kenneth Walker too. I think you've swayed me, beat on.
Yeah, same.
I'm a convert.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker is so awesome when he's awesome, but it's just like we're looking at volume and not many big plays and maybe some out of the passing game. And this should be a shootout in Seattle and Detroit, but that might be that most likely will be through the air.
It's a terrible matchup for Kenneth Walker.
It is, yeah. And coming off the injury, man, and he's kind of in and off the injury report every time. Raz B. Don coming in here. We do have a question from one of our loyal fans. We got Rashad White, Zach Moss, DeAndre Swift, Carson Steele, start 2, half PPR, first down point. We like that. Jeff, we'll go to you first.
I'm going to go Zach Moss. I'm going to go Steele of this one. I think this will be an interesting game. I think the Chargers have some injuries to their D-line. So I like Steele. He got 17 carries last week, so I'm curious to see what that looks like. And for first downs, I think he's the guy they're going to rely on getting the first downs when it's third and short. So I'm going to go Steele and Moss.
Dave?
Yeah, I hate to go away from Swift versus the Rams, but I just don't trust the Bears running game. For me, I like Steele, but I think the Chargers have a decent run defense. And Rashad White wasn't injured. He had food poisoning. So probably got some bad Taco Bell or something. I'm gonna go with Rashad White and Zach Moss here.
God, I would love to hear an NFL player eat Taco Bell.
Hey, supposedly Devontae Adams has one in his house.
I think he has 2. Aren't there 2 windows in that one?
Yeah. And he rides scooters around in his house too,
right.
so.
Taco Bell, not a sponsor, just to be clear. I'm going to go Rashad White again, active, and I'm going to go with Steele. Also, he's a fullback, but it's a Chiefs offense, 17 carries, 72 yards. Should have had a touchdown. I think he's going to be just fine. And until Kareem Hunt shows up, he's not shown up. So I like Rashad White and Carson Steele. So shouts out to Raz Bedon, loyal listener. Appreciate that. Heisenberg is up next. McConkey over Debo. We still have time for more info. Again, I mean, Debo's supposed to play, and we don't really love McConkey. So I think this one's an auto, it's automatic, right?
I agree.
Yep, Debo for me.
Hearing that Debo's out, I don't think anything's changing.
Yeah, and they're both 1 o'clock games, so you should have in 2 hours you're going to get a heads up on Debo, and once Debo's active, this is a no-brainer. And obviously, if he's not, you go McConkey or hit the waiver wire, move Debo to the IR. Gentlemen, we have 5 minutes until kickoff. I want to invite anybody else that has last-minute questions. Please jump in. Also, I want to give a shout-out to all of our articles, all of our writers, all of our tools that Beat On broke down at the top of the hour. You can check those out once again. We have exclusive tools you can buy into behind the paywall. We also have a lot of free tools for you as well. All of us are doing different articles all season long. We have DFS for you as well. We have some dynasty content. We have start sits. We have plays of the week. We use all the tools for you as well. So over 200 of you have chimed in this morning. We appreciate that. We're live with you in some version of our conglomerate here with all of our analysts every single Sunday morning prior to kickoff, 2 hours before kickoff. So make sure you hit us up right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We're live on X as well. It's Razzball NFL, RAZZBALL NFL. You can find us right here on the YouTube channel every night when we're dropping content for you as well. Make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any of the alerts for our shows. And those episodes also are repurposed to our podcast, the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. I tell you guys all the time, obviously I run the shows on YouTube, but when I listen back to other people's shows, when I'm on the go, I'm always on the go. So that it's the podcast for me. And it's really helpful anywhere you listen to your audio. And again, football.razzball.com is your hub for everything else. Gentlemen, we have 4 minutes in counting. Round the horn here. One thing that we're looking to take away other than Rashid Shaheed going absolutely berserk so that we can save our jobs. Beat on something you're looking forward to in week 4.
I'm interested to see if Caleb Williams can continue his 300-yard performance from last week, and also how Jalen Hurts is going to look sans weapons.
Jeff?
Yeah, I'm curious what the Colts do. In my article, home and away split, I said to bench Anthony Richardson and Pittman. Really curious to see if it's going to continue to trend down for them or not, or if they're going to turn it around, because everyone has a lot of stock in Anthony Richardson. I think he was going top 5 in drafts as quarterback and a lot of things. So he doesn't look that good right now.
Dave?
Yep, for me, it's game time. I'm looking forward to Minnesota Green Bay in the morning and Washington, Arizona in the afternoon.
I love it. I'm going Geno Smith over Anthony Richardson this week, gentlemen. I made that switch here off the waiver wire. We have two last-minute questions. Marius is back. We have Pitts in a 16-team, no tight end league. So we're playing Pitts as like a flex, I would assume.
Right.
Is he droppable, or would I be able to get another player for him? So let's not spend too much time on this, but are you trading or just dropping Pitts? You do not have to play a tight end.
I mean, I think in a 16-team league, he would have value. I mean, I can't imagine in a 16-team league he doesn't have value. I mean, I'm in like some 12 and 14-team leagues, and there's nobody available on the wire. So yeah, I would trade him if you're absolutely done with him. I get it. I've been a Pitts backer for a long time, so I understand that it's not been what we thought. But no, I'm not dropping him.
Jeff.
Yeah, I can't drop him. He's one of the top targets for Kirk Cousins, who loves tight ends.
Dave.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of doing either at this point. His sell value isn't very high. I'm certainly in a 16-teamer. No, I'm not dropping Kyle Pitts. I would try to sell him before I drop him, but no, I don't want to sell him right now either.
Last question of the show here. Pitts versus Goddard. No wide receivers in Philadelphia. Be done.
Yeah, I'm going to go away from, I think, the number one tight end overall right now in Dallas Goedert. And I'm going to say Kyle Pitts, which sounds crazy, but Goddard, again, I talked about it earlier. I feel like with no receivers, they're just going to blanket him underneath, on top. It's going to get Travis Kelce type treatment, and Goddard isn't fast enough anymore to get beat, double coverage. So I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts, fully knowing this could backfire in my face.
Yeah, no, I love that actually. Tampa Bay allows just the fourth fewest points to tight ends all season. So yeah, give me Pitts.
Yeah, Pitts hasn't looked great, but neither is Kirk Cousins. I think he's coming along kind of slowly. I think there's still, still think there's another level there for Kirk Cousins, and I think as he goes, Kyle Pitts will go. Today, yeah, I kind of agree with Kyle Pitts. There's just not enough around Dallas Goedert to take tension away from him.
That's at least 3 for Pitts. So you're starting him, but I do want to mention they are hurting. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith out for the Eagles. Goddard is going to get peppered whether he's covered or not. He would probably be the start for me. Gentlemen, it is officially kickoff time. Marius, you are very welcome. We'll see you next week. Those of you still tuned in for us before you click over, 200 plus of you, we appreciate you tuning in for 2 hours here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show, Sunday live kickoff show for week 4. Remember, every single night of the week, about 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we have a show live for you right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show. And again, repurposed on the podcast side. You can download that anywhere you listen to your audio. All of our articles and our great tools available at football.razzball.com. You can find the King B. Don. That is Raz B. Don. You can find Dave at Cruiser128 and Jeff at Jefferson_21. My name is Sky Guasco. You can find me at SkyGuasco and Razzball at Razzball NFL. We'll catch you next time. We'll catch you next week. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Best of luck in week 4, everybody. Stay the course. Beat the waiver wire on Nick Chubb. Beat the waiver wire on bye weeks. We'll catch you next week. Everybody have a wonderful evening, wonderful afternoon, and a great weekend of football. Good luck, everybody.